seeing everything correctly. We don't count these in our game. We begin the game for real now. Which was not a dance of the 60s? This is one where I have to give you choices since you're selecting which one wasn't one. But I'm sure you danced to at least 4 of the 5 here, so you have a memory. This game, we assume that you're playing in teams. If you want to zip through these more quickly, you can go to our quick edition. Although the quick edition isn't quite as tough, because in that one I do give you the answers for possible answers for all the questions. Okay, moving on. Which was not a dance of the 60s? Who played Remington Steele? I forgot myself. I was thinking there were answers here for you, but again, this is a challenge edition. I gave choices to my people in the original edition and the quick edition. Okay, moving on to 3. The first talking motion picture was, clearly this one predates me, probably you, but it's certainly part of history. Here's one where I had to give you choices. Science fiction programs. Now, 4 of the 5 actually gave you a date, a calendar date, as to when they were set. Which of them is incorrect? We've got the air date, when it actually aired, and then what year was it supposed to have been set in? Okay. We've met the enemy and he is us. Who is famous for saying this? Or which famous person said this? Or however you want to word that. We've met the enemy and he is us. What's the origin of that? What is an ocarina? Okay, moving on. Which show did Tammy, Faye, and Jim Bakker appear on? Probably going to be an easy one. Actually, I included choices here because I wasn't going to research each and every one of the possible shows that they might have appeared on. So, obviously, they appeared on one of these, which was not a dance of the 60s. Never heard of the space hop. Just pulled that one out of the air. But you all danced to the swim, the twist, the Watusi, the funky chicken. Of course, Pierce Brosnan as Remington Steele. First talking motion picture was The Jazz Singer. Air dates versus star dates. Now, Battlestar Galactica, if you knew the storylines, might have been an easy one for you, because they started somewhere, they started off in another world. So we didn't have any kind of star date, at least from Earth's perspective, associated with the show. And in fact, the remake, in fact, actually one of the only remakes that I've enjoyed over the years, the remake oh, I can't tell you the ending, but does give you the conclusion does give you a sense of when. Now, the original series never really came to a conclusion, so you don't know when they found Earth, if they found Earth. But after the show ended, a less expensive version was introduced. In fact, I believe that was called Battlestar Galactica in 1980, where they had new characters pop up as the main characters. Kent McCord, I believe, was one of them. Anyway, new characters, and that show didn't last very long. Sort of a disappointment. Excuse me, that was my opinion, maybe not yours. Of course, we've got Lauren Green, Adama in the top, and this is a more advanced picture of Starbuck. We've met the enemy and he is us. Pogo. And it's an environmental complaint that's being made. That is, it's an environmental reference. We've met the enemy. What's an ocarina? It's a musical instrument. In fact, you can hear that being played on Wild Thing, the classic song Wild Thing. I included options in my others, things like vegetables, what have you. Tammy, Faye, Jim Bakker appeared on the PTL Club. I'm guessing you probably got that one right, if not all the questions. Okay, tally your points. Take a deep breath. We'll march into round 2. Shangri-La is a fictional place described in the 1933 novel What do you think? Broadway Joe. Oops, Broadway Joe was which of the following? Butterfield 8 starred which of the following actresses? Or which actors? I guess you don't get choices, do you? Butterfield 8 starred which actor? J.C. Penney's full name was what? I should slow down. I didn't give you time to answer the Butterfield 8 question. Okay, J.C. Penney's full name was... I always keep thinking I'm giving you choices here. Tell me about the Stonewall Riots. What were they? Where were they? Why were they? Annual dog sled race that takes place on the trail between Anchorage and Nome. It's a race that pairs humans with their dogs, with their sled dogs, as they make their way across 1,100 miles. What's the name of the race? Who was not a Mouseketeer? Now I'm talking about the original Mouseketeers. For all I know, the one that I chose as not being a Mouseketeer, that name could very well have ended up in a 1990 version, for all I know, and certainly wasn't going to research that. But of the original Mouseketeers, 4 of the 5 were at the heart of the Mouseketeer group, and the 5th one was nowhere to be seen. Okay. Shangri-La, Lost Horizon. Of course, Broadway Joe was Joe Namath. Interestingly enough, I once owned a piece of lake property in Alabama, and they told me that right across the inlet was some property owned by Joe Namath. Now, in fact, I never did see him, so, but that's what they told me. And of course, Butterfield 8 starred Elizabeth Taylor. Actually, this was kind of a fun one. One of our champion players in our local game remembered this very well and complained that I didn't get the image of another ad associated with this film. Apparently, it was a very provocative, or excuse me, a more provocative ad that seemed to live in his memory for all these years. I haven't searched it out, but that was his recollection. And of course, J.C. Penney's full name is James Cash Penney. The Stonewall Riots erupted after police raided a gay club located in Greenwich Village, June 28, 1969. In fact, here are some better images of the occasion. The Iditarod, the annual dog sled race. And of course, Ricky. Ricky was the absentee. There were a number of original Mouseketeers, but certainly we all know Annette. She went on, of course, to beach movies and later films. Eventually developed a physical ailment and kind of tragic in that sense. Cubby, he went on and had a successful career. You might check out some of these Mouseketeers. Some of them didn't have as good a life as they might have, went astray. Okay. Oops, who was not a Mouseketeer? Right. Going on to round 3. Give you a chance to tally for a second before we get started. Which was not a Civil War prison camp? 4 of the 5 were. Which one was not? The word abstemious means what? Definition for abstemious. Okay. Harold von Braunert created and marketed the eggs of a form of brine shrimp that, when added to water and a special mixture of ingredients hatched. He is quoted as saying, I think I bought something like 3.2 million pages of comic book advertising a year. It worked beautifully. These were called what? And no, not Charles Atlas. But I had to give you an ad from a comic book as an image. Remember those ones where they kick sand in your face? Okay, what were these items that he sold? First, Social Security withdrawals and payments were made when? I thought this would be too nasty just to ask you for the dates, so I gave you options. These are the options that went to the original players. Good, Bad, and the Ugly starred Clint Eastwood and Eli Wallach, and who else? Guessing you might know this one. Okay. The movie The Robe. Who originally wore or possessed the robe? Where did the robe come from? Tontine. What is a tontine? Ready for answers in round 3? Let's go. Okay, not a Civil War prison camp. Well, Camp Harmony in Washington, the state of Washington. Actually, Civil War camp probably wouldn't be there, but in fact it was a World War II center for the Japanese. And this is not doing things that give you pleasure, especially not eating good food or drinking alcohol. Okay, that wonderful ad in the back of comic books. Sea monkeys. Might have been the interior of the comic books. You own sea monkeys. Enter the wonderful world of amazing live sea monkeys, the extraordinary pet brine shrimp that grow. It's amazing. And see if I see the price. I enclose $1.25 plus 50 cents for postage and handling. Okay. First payments. FDR said we put these payroll contributions there so as to give the contributors a legal, moral, and political right to collect their pensions and their unemployment benefits. With those taxes in there, no damn politician can ever scrap my Social Security program. And of course, Lee Van Cleef. I certainly enjoyed him, and for a few dollars more, and again a Clint Eastwood movie, and then again in this Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And this was the robe of Jesus. Tontine. It's a fun going to the last surviving member of the group. Okay, you throw all of your money into a pot, as everyone throws whatever amount into a pot, and it goes to the last person standing. Of course, it might create a great plot for a novel. In fact, it did. That's Thomas Costain, and I read the book, The Tontine, when I was quite young. And I was just thinking I should probably go back and read it again today. But Thomas Costain was the author of a number of adventure kinds of novels, and I put the other image up there because one of his other books was The Black Rose. Okay. Now for our bonus question. You're welcome to tally this one any way you want. We give 2 points for the bonus question. I was just thinking, maybe we should make this like Jeopardy, where before you see the question, you have an opportunity to determine how many points you want to assign. But anyway, we give 2 points. Are you ready? Because if you'd bet heavily on this one, chances are you would have done well. Dick Van Dyke's wife, what was her name, the actress? Name of the actress. I'm guessing we get 100% correct on this one. Okay, here it goes. The answer is Mary Tyler Moore, of course. Okay, I hope you did well. The best way you can contact us is oldtimerstrivia@aol.com. Feel free to drop a note. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook as Old Timers Trivia. I encourage you to subscribe because as these come out, you'll know that they're out there. And again, you can find us on Patreon or DonorBox. Help support us, keep the game going. And of course, we have the Old Timers store, which primarily focuses on comic book related items, but in fact, we do have some other items in there that are not comic book specific. I encourage you to take a look. And with that, remind you of our Challenge Edition, which you're playing now, the original edition, and the Quick Edition. And we'll look forward to seeing you in Game 6.